Good morning, folks. My name is Kurt Hitzemann, County Court Judge here in Hernando County. You folks are here for your first appearance. The purpose of the first appearance is for you to be informed of the charges against you, and will determine if probable cause exists for those charges. Probable cause simply means that it's more likely than not that a crime has occurred, and more likely than not that you are the person that has committed the crime. Of course, as you stand before me this morning, I presume that you're innocent of these charges. That presumption of innocence will stay with you through every stage of the proceedings unless and until the State Attorney's Office is able to prove the allegations against you beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. We will set your conditions of pretrial release this morning, that is your bail or your bond. In most cases, you've had a bond set already pursuant to the bond schedule here in the 5th Judicial Circuit, and the warrant which led to your arrest. I will determine if that bond should be raised or lowered or left the same, or whether there will be additional conditions of pretrial release placed upon you. We'll let you know when your next court date will be. If you'd like to have the services of the public defender, I'll gladly appoint the PD to represent you this morning. You do have a right to have contact with folks on the outside, family, friends, counsel. If you have not had a chance to make that call, please let me know. We'll make sure that happens. Finally, and most importantly, you're advised that you do have an absolute right to remain silent with regard to the facts which surround your arrest. I encourage you to do that. These proceedings are recorded. In addition, there is an assistant state attorney in the courtroom with me. If you say something that tends to incriminate you, they will use it against you in the prosecution down the road. I now need each and every one of you there at the jail to please raise your right hands and be sworn. You all solemnly swear or affirm, tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? Outstanding. When I call your name, please step forward to the podium. Lauren Smith. Morning, Ms. Smith. What's your date of birth?
12/6/90.
Ms. Smith, you're here on a warrant that was signed by Judge Scaglione. He found probable cause for one count of uttering a forged check. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself, you want to hire private counsel. Who would you like me to appoint the public defender?
A public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State, what can you tell me?
What was that, Your Honor?
What can you tell me? Criminal history?
Yes, Your Honor. There is uttering as resisting officers, violence, fleeing and eluding drug possession, and grand theft. And that's all I can confirm, Your Honor.
Lauren, I have an address for you on Canterbury Street in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
Like 10 years.
Do you have a job these days?
No, I'm actually 9 months pregnant and I'm 4 centimeters dilated.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's why you're going first here this morning. All right. I'm going to leave your bond at tell you what, I'm going to set your bond at $500. I'm going to have you back in court on the 29th of January. When you're out, make sure you go see the public defender right away, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. That'd be the appointments, guy. Gwen Daly. Morning, Miss Daly. What's your date of birth?
7/18/80.
Miss Daly, the charge is retail theft. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. Would you like to hire private counsel, or you want me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender, Your Honor.
I'll appoint the PD. State any history.
No, Your Honor, that I can confirm.
And Gwen, I have an address for you on Otto Lane in Hudson. Is that where you live?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long have you been there?
Over a year.
Are you working these days?
I'm actually trying to start a new job
Okay.
after the new year.
Okay. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance this morning, Gwen, so they're going to let you out today, but you will be back in court on the 19th of January. Very important that you contact the public defender's office after you're out, all right?
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good luck. Betty Gardner. Morning, young lady. What's your date of birth?
03/23/1996.
Betty, the charge this morning is felony domestic battery by strangulation. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, if you wish to represent yourself, you plan on hiring private counsel, or would you like me to appoint a public defender?
Please use the public defender.
I'll appoint the public defender. State, what can you tell me?
No history, Your Honor.
All right. And Betty, I had an address for you on Houston Street in Brooksville. Is that where you're living?
Yes, sir.
And Christine lives there too?
That's my mother, yes.
Right? And you have a job these days.
I just started filling out my information for a resident care technician at Timber Pines. I haven't went through all of the steps to take before I start, so I still have to do my level 2 background check, see the doctor, stuff like that, and then I could start working. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Betty, I'm going to set your bond at $500, but the condition of the bond is going to be that you'll have no contact with your mother, Christine. No contact means no contact of any kind. You don't call, you don't write, you don't email, you don't text message, you don't contact her through any social media. You don't have a third person contact her, you don't go where she lives, you don't go where she works, you don't have any contact of any kind. Any way that you might imagine contacting her, I forbid you to do that. If you have contact and we find out about it, your bond will be revoked and you'll be held without bond until the charges are resolved. It means no contact even if she wants the contact, so if you answer your phone and hear her voice, you should hang up. If you're out and about and see her, you should turn around and run the other way. You need, hang on, we'll get to it. You need to understand that she cannot drop the charges against you. That's not a decision she gets to make. She may go to the state attorney's office and ask them to drop the charges. She may tell them she doesn't want to go forward with this. But that decision belongs solely to the assistant state attorney handling your case. So unless that person or the judge on your case tells you the charges are dropped, you should assume they are not dropped and you should not have contact. In addition, I've got to hold you today up until 4 p.m. so that if she wanted to serve you with a civil injunction for protection against domestic violence, we'd know where to find you. If you get the civil injunction, it's doubly important that you not have contact because in that case, not only could you get your bond revoked here, but you could get new charges for violating the injunction. As far as the Houston Street address goes, as long as she's staying there, of course, she'll have to stay somewhere else until we get this case resolved. You can go by one time to collect your things, your clothes, your toothbrush, whatever you need for wherever you plan to stay. To accomplish that, however, you must contact the appropriate law enforcement agency. They'll meet you there with a deputy or an officer who will stand by while you collect your things and get going wherever you're going. We're going to have you back in court on the 29th of January. Very important that when you get out, you contact the public defender's office. Do you have a question, Betty?
So the one time that I go there, I can pick up my kids from my mother?
If they're your kids, yeah.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Very good. Danielle Patino?
Yes, sir.
Danielle, what's your date of birth?
6/12/87.
Danielle, you are here on a warrant signed by Judge Rupi. She found probable cause for a violation of probation. The folks at probation are recommending that we terminate your probation and have you do 30 days in the county jail. You could accept that this morning if you wanted to, and I'd give you credit for any time that you've already served. If you'd rather have an opportunity to speak to an attorney first, you certainly can do that. What would you like to do?
I would like to see if I can get a bond, and I have school. Like, I'm a cosmetologist. I'm supposed to graduate February 23rd.
Okay.
I've been in the same home for the last 3 years.
Danielle, the thing that's not going to happen is you getting a bond. That's not going to happen today. You'll either have a lawyer come see you. You'll be back in court on the 19th, which is 16 days, or you'll take the 30 days, and then I'll give you credit for whatever you've got in a couple of days, I presume. And
I'll take the 30.
Okay?
I'll take the 30.
You understand by entering an admission to a violation of probation, you give up the right to have a trial to the court, the right to confront the witnesses against you, the right to have an attorney represent you, but you're willing to give up those rights so we can resolve this today?
Yes, sir.
Case number 17, CT 2814. Do you admit that you violated your probation?
Can I say no contest? Or do I have to say
You have to admit, yeah.
I admit it.
I accept the admission, find it's freely and voluntarily made. I will revoke and terminate the probation unsuccessfully, adjudicate you the underlying charge, sentence you to 30 days in the county jail with credit for, looks like 2 days. You don't have any more than the 2 days, do you, Danielle?
I was in Land O'Lakes since Thursday.
Okay. Give you credit for 7 days.
Thank you, sir.
There'll be a $50 cost of prosecution, and your cost of incarceration But that takes care of it, Danielle. You got about 18 days left to do, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good luck. Tina Tuttle. Morning, Miss Tuttle. What's your date of birth?
October 3rd, 1966.
Miss Tuttle, the charge is grand theft. There's probable cause for that charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself and a higher private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
A public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State, what can you tell me?
Your Honor, several drug charges, possession of cocaine, possession of paraphernalia, battery. And that's about it.
Pardon me. Tina, I've got an address for you on Olivet Drive in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
Since August.
And you have a job these days?
Yes, sir.
I'll set your bond at $1,000. I'll have you back in court on the 29th of January. Very important that you go see the public defender if you get out, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Amalfitano. Morning, Michael. What's your date of birth?
6/26/1972.
Michael, I have a warrant for you out of Citrus County. The judge that signed it's for failing to appear, I think. Yep. The judge that signed it set your bond at no bond. I can't change that. We're going to let Citrus know that you're here and ready to go. They have 5 days to come get you. It does not take 5 days with Citrus County, but if for some strange reason you're still here in 5 days, they'll bring you back to see me and I'll find out what's going on, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Teddy Betancourt. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
124/74.
Teddy, there's 2 charges this morning, a grand theft and a grand theft auto. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'll appoint the PD. State.
Possession of marijuana, trafficking of benzene, battery on a law enforcement officer, and 2 failure to appear.
And Teddy, I have an address for you on Shafton Road in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
4 years.
You have a job these days?
Yes.
What do you do?
Auto mechanic.
Leave your bond per the schedules, which is $1,000 on each count for a total of $2,000. We'll have you back in court on the 29th of January. Very important that you contact the public defender when you get out, all right?
Okay.
Thank you. Eric Blaze. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
12/11/72.
Eric, you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Merritt. He found probable cause for a violation of probation. As to that charge, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond on the warrant, of course, is no bond. I can't change that. I am going to change your date. We'll have you back on the 23rd of January. They told you the 29th. We'll have you back on the 23rd. Public defender's going to come see you before then, okay?
Hey, can I say something real
Sure,
quick?
go ahead.
I also got a court date with traffic today for 2 tickets. That's why I've been violated.
In a misdemeanor court, you mean?
I don't know if it's misdemeanor traffic. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, if it's today, it's misdemeanor. If you're on the docket, they'll have you appear in that court today, just like you're appearing in front of me now.
All right.
All right?
Yep.
Justin Bird. Morning, Justin. What's your date of birth?
August 14, 92.
Justin, I have a warrant for you out of Sumter County. In this case, the judge that signed the warrant believes you failed to appear in court and then set your bond at no bond. I can't change that. We'll let Sumter know you're here and ready to go. Just like with citrus, they have 5 days, but it won't take 5 days. If for some strange reason you're still here in 5 days, they'll bring you back to see me, okay?
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Jack Denecki. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
May 25th, 1972.
Jack, you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Toner. He found probable cause for a violation of probation. As to that charge, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Who would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defense.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond on the warrant is no bond. I can't change that. I'll send you back to see Judge Toner on the 29th of January. Public defender will come see you before then, okay?
All right, thanks,
Thank
sir.
you. William Grasso. Morning, William. What's your date of birth?
11/13/71.
William, you have 3 charges this morning. We've got a grand theft auto, operating a motorcycle without the proper endorsement, and a possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause for all 3. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
At this point, public defender. Public defender at this point.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender. State, what can you tell me?
No history, Your Honor.
All right. And William, we've got an address for you on Campbell Drive in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
3 years.
Do you have a job these days?
Yep, I work. Yes, sir.
What do you do?
I drive a tractor for like the highways of DOT, cutting for DOT.
Okay. All right. On the grand theft and the, well, actually on all 3 of them, I'll set a bond of $500, so the total is $1,500. I'll have you back on the grand theft on the 29th of January. The paraphernalia is actually coming back on the 19th of January. When you get out, get a hold of the public defender's office right away, okay?
All right.
Thank you. Timothy Groves. Tim, what's your date of birth?
11/7/89.
Tim, I've got a grand theft and a grand theft auto. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself. Hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the public defender, Steve.
A shoplifting, Your Honor. That's all I can confirm.
And Tim, I have an address for you on Congress Street in Newport Richey. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
About 5 months.
All right. You got a job these days?
Yes, sir.
What are you doing?
Cook.
Okay. What do you do that for?
KFC.
Okay. I'll set your bond at $500 on each count. The total's $1,000. I'll have you back in court on the 29th of January. Make sure you go see the public defender when you get out, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Robert Howard. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
3/2/1960.
All right, Mr. Howard, you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Toner. He found probable cause for 1 count of violation of condition of pretrial release. And then is there an open case for you?
Yeah, I
Hang
just.
on, sir. Pardon me? Nope.
Just this something
There's gotta be something. There has to be something else. Oh, maybe an injunction. But that, no, it's pretrial release. It's not a violation of the
EDR 5. Budget on yes, DB injunction. 5/8/22.
So yes. Mr. Howard, do you think you have a pending criminal case besides this one?
No, sir.
Okay.
For some reason, I just thought it was no physical contact.
Well,
So I was kind of
okay, let's not, don't say anything about it. It sounds like you have an injunction against you. Does that sound familiar?
Yes, it's a,
Right, there's a domestic violence
So-
injunction between you and somebody else.
right, it was just filed with, and that's for no contact,
Okay,
temporary no contact.
I know what it is. Yep,
I'm-
hang on.
Okay.
Okay, my point is, whoever drafted this warrant made it a warrant for violation of conditions of pretrial release. He's not on pretrial release. And so there should not have been probable cause found on this particular charge. He may have violated his injunctions, and that would be a criminal charge. So, State, I'm actually going to find no PC on this charge because on this charge there isn't any probable cause. But I'll let him know that there's probably a new warrant coming for the violation of the injunction.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Mr. Howard, I'm going to find no probable cause in this case, and we're going to release you today on your own recognizance. All right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
But hang on, it's not all good news. What they did is they did a warrant for the wrong charge. If you have violated that injunction, and don't say anything about it right now, but if you have, there is a charge for that. It's just not this charge. So my guess is that they'll correct the mistake, and you'll wind up getting the charge later. And I'm going to make you come to court on the 19th of January because they may have it figured out by then. But I won't appoint a lawyer now because you don't need one yet. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance, and then we'll have you back in court on January 19th. Okay?
Correct. Okay.
Very good.
I do have. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Jason Marklin. Morning, Jason. What's your date of birth?
03/18/1997.
Jason, you're here on a warrant that was signed by Judge Neal. He found probable cause for a grand theft and a battery. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself, you want to hire a private counsel, would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll point to PD. State what detail.
Possession of marijuana, possession of paraphernalia. And that's all I can confirm.
And Jason, I have an address for you on Laurel Drive in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
7 years.
Do you have a job these days?
No, sir.
You set your bond at $500 on each count. The total is $1,000. Condition of the bond is that you have no contact with Edwin Gonzalez. Did you hear me explain no contact earlier?
Yes, sir.
Can you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Very good. I will have you back in court on the 29th of January. Very important that you contact the public defender when you get out, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Christopher Toller. Morning, Christopher. What's your date of birth?
5/2/95.
Christopher, I have a warrant for you signed by Judge Merritt. Apparently you failed to appear in his courtroom on 2 charges: introduction or possession of contraband at a detention center and possession of controlled substance. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'll appoint the public defender. Unfortunately, Judge Merritt set your bond at no bond. I can't change that. We'll send you back to see him on the 23rd of January. They may have told you the 29th. You'll be back on the 23rd. And the public defender will come see you before then, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Brenton Vincent. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
11/1990.
Brenton, you're here on a warrant from Sumter County. The judge that issued the warrant found probable cause for a violation of probation and set your bond at no bond. I can't change that. We'll let the folks in Sumter know you're here and give them up to 5 days to come get you, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you. And Michael Waldron.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Michael. What's your date of birth?
4/6/82.
Michael, I've got driving on a suspended license and a possession of controlled substance. There's probable cause for those 2 charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself and hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
A, public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State what can you tell me?
You can show a possession of marijuana, contempt of court, a driving while license suspended, all I can confirm.
And Michael, I've got an address for you on Drayton Street in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
5 years.
You have a job these days?
Yes, sir, with almost 2 painting.
Okay. I'm going to set your bond at $1,000 on each count, so your total is $2,000. We'll have you back on the 29th of January. Make sure you go see the public defender if you get out, all right?
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you. Very good. Thanks, folks.